Hi everyone, this is how I went this week. Pretty poor. A lot of things went my way. I mean, the round was over before it began, to be honest. Just with injuries and players just not performing as well as what I expected them to. There were a few things that did alright, but most of it was just crap. So we'll start off with the back line. As we can see here, Sheasel 141. Yeah, phenomenal. Helped North Melbourne get their second win, and they played really well the last month. North Melbourne, they could have won a couple more games as well. And then you've got Nick Dacos, 92, who was a bit outplayed on Friday night. This wasn't his best. Not terrible, but if you had him as Vice VC, you wouldn't be too happy. And Luke Ryan, 99, has dropped off in the past month. I mean, 99's not terrible. Most people have him now, so it's not a huge deal, but yeah, he's definitely dropped off a little bit, which is a little frustrating, but it's definitely the least of my worries. And then Whitfield 107, so he's bounced back in the last few weeks, which is great because it seems like that's one of the few things that's actually been all right the last few weeks. So happy with Whitfield 107. And then Dan Houston 76, who's actually now cheaper than Whitfield. Who would have thought? And he's really dropped off this past month. After that 170, he's just fallen flat, and he just hasn't been good enough. So I mean, he's highly owned. But if you don't own him, you'd be quite, he's not killing you. So I mean, it's just frustrating when you pick a player has like one or two good weeks, but then he's just dropped off. Despite Port winning. I guess the ball wasn't in the defensive half as what it usually is. So I'm not too sure with Houston now. I mean, again, at least he's still playing. So he's going to be a hold for now. There's no point. I just hope he bounces back. And then Nick Martin, 99. So once again, Nick Martin's probably dropped off a little bit after performing all right for a couple months, or about for a month or two patch. Hasn't been terrible, but I mean, there's probably a few other defenders you'd rather have. But, at least he's playing, which is good. He's still doing all right. It's just been a steady selection. Then you had Schoenmaker, 52, which is okay. I think ideally you probably wanted, I mean, that's okay as a, backup selection. St Kilda won as well. Took the cash from Aaliyah. I think, take the cash just to make another upgrade, which I'll explain in a minute what I did. And you got Bond 106, which is okay considering the Bulldogs performed poorly, but not great if you had him as a vice captain or a captain option. I mean, look, it's not too bad, but once again, you want that 130 plus score for a vice captain option. And then Zach Butters, 159, just killed the Bulldogs. I wish I had him as a VC or a captain option. Would have been laughing. Would have been well better off. But yeah, it's a bit, that's all right. I mean, he's had a bit of an average month, just to put it. And Zach Merritt, 145. Yeah, inspired, his team to victory. Really, really did well. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal from Zach Merritt. Really helped us win the match. And yeah, he's just a great player. Probably been our best player for the last 10 years, maybe outside Joe Watson. Yeah, he's a real gem. And then Sam Walsh, 69. So he's just been a bit of a roller coaster. Played great last week, and then back down to 69. Glad I didn't captain him, but yeah, look, it's just another sort of fraud that I have on my side. And then Sarong, one of the biggest disappointments this round, and just considering they did win by a decent margin against Richmond, who's now bottom of the ladder. I expect him to at least get above 100. But it was an even mix, and it wasn't Sarong's day or night, whatever it was in Perth at that time. I think it might have been twilight. 84 is just not good enough for a captain. Just shocking. It's just sort of killed my season a little bit now, preventing me from getting the top 10,000. And it's just not good enough. It's just frustrating. Could have got at least, a Merritt or a Butters, or maybe even a Sheasel. Some people picked Gorn, who didn't particularly play that great either. So, yeah, I've just lost a lot of points there. It's just very frustrating. Very frustrating. It's like a roulette every week. It is what it is. It's actually not the most frustrating thing this round, believe it or not. And then Tom Green, 96. I was hoping for a bit more, considering they won. Again, he's probably another fraud in my side. There's a bunch of players like Dunkley, probably a Lockie Neal, who I'd rather have on my side. And there might be a couple other players as well, like Errol Goulden. Might be one of them, maybe. Maybe another one or two that I'd rather have over Tom Green. But we move on to Miller, and this stopped me from really caring about Supercoach this week. It just, as soon as Miller went down halfway through the game, I thought, that's it. No top 10,000 ranking this season for me. I mean, ideally, I was hoping, before the bye to get in the top 5,000, but, 10,000 would be good from here now. It's just, didn't plan the buys the best. It's just rookies and just players underperforming, and then injuries like this to Miller. I should have traded in the other week to get Rosie in, because Rosie went bananas and I would have been well better off. Would have had an extra 100k. And it's just frustrating. I'm just over it, to be honest. It just backfired. He probably has to be a trade out now. I'm not too sure who to bring in, to be honest. Because what I have, 14,000, who I'm going to bring for 500k. I can't bring in Rosie now, which I should have done probably at the beginning of this round or the round prior. It's just an absolute nightmare. It would have been like another 30 points better off, and it would have been, probably almost at 10k if it was for that. Decisions you make. Kind of Brown didn't play, and then I took Manascore over Dawson, which that's the only really battle I won this round. Mano outscored half of my midfield. He beat Dawson, beat Miller, beat Tom Green, beat Walsh. Geelong decided to finally play him after so many weeks. It's a bit too late. It would have been good even like a month ago with the buys, just to play him to cover up for the buys. And if you can score 100 then, it would have been miles ahead of everyone else. But no. I mean, good. Take his score, save me. Got an extra 50 points over Dawson. Save me for an absolute even bigger shocker, to be honest. It's just Dawson, fraud. I knew he was overpriced at the start of the season. I don't know why I started with him. One of the stupidest things I've done this season. He had a few good games, like hitting 170, or almost carried, Adelaide over the line against Essendon. But, other than that, he's only had like one or two good games. Everything else has been either mediocre or just garbage. Should never have started him. He was always overpriced. And in future, I'm just going to have to, think about it. He might be all right for next year. Who knows? It's just, Adelaide just been more disappointing this year as well. And Downing, 67's all right. If you had him as an emergency option or a loophole, you would take that. So there's that for the midfield. Probably very disappointing, to be honest. Just frustrating with everything. And on to the ruck, scoring 100. So if you had him as a captain option, which I was thinking about doing, but I didn't, wouldn't have mattered too much. We've only got 16 more points more than what I would with Sarong. If you had him as captain, you'd be disappointed. So Gorn's dropped off a little bit this last month as well. Just sort of like Melbourne. They've played all right the last couple of weeks, Melbourne. They just had a shocking month of football prior to that. And then English, who I traded in for Strawn, who didn't really make any money from him at all. And it was a bit of wasn't really nothing traded here, and helped me for one or two of the buy rounds, but that was about it. And English performed well. So I guess I sort of need to use that money that I got from Alika Lear with that trade and just do a fully upgraded side. So I guess that worked out well, but there's a few other trades I probably should have done, like getting rid of Miller for Rosie, and it would have been 100k and probably a little extra money to do a minor upgrade here and there, just improve my side. But with 4 trades left, I'm not too sure. Livingston didn't play. And then Flanders 104. I mean, took it as a VC option. I thought, okay, they're playing North Melbourne. We'll get like 120, 130, hopefully at least, and I'll just take that as the safety net. I mean, he was still one of their better players. Gold Coast is disappointing. They're not going to play finals, I don't think, now. They had to win that game. They just played terrible away from home. I mean, North Melbourne did all right, but even then, they still had the chance to win, and they didn't. Gold Coast. So, look, it's just, it's not good. I mean, it's not a terrible score, but for a vice captain, you want, 130 at least. And Heaney, 127, started off slow in the first half, but played well in the second half. He's just phenomenal selection if you started with him. Wish I did, brought him a bit too late. And then Zorko, 84, a little disappointing from Zorko. But look, they got the result at Brisbane. He's still going to be, top 4 or 5 forward at his age, which is remarkable. Says a lot about the forward line. And then we've got Luke Jackson, 121, so he's bounced back after a mediocre round last week. There's a reason why he's still in my side. I haven't traded him out this season. And then we've got Charlie Curnow, 33, which is probably one of the biggest disappointments this week. And that's 2 weeks in a row. It's just frustrating. It's just irritating. You pick a player who you think, okay, cool. He's playing Richmond, should at least get, 90 or 100 at least. But no, gets out of 60. Okay, cool. Next week. Well, hopefully he'll bounce back. No, only gets 1 goal. And it was just a shocking game from Curnow, probably his worst game of the year. Do I expect a key forward to play it well every week? No, but do I expect this, from a player that's, hyped up as much as Curnow? Deliver on the big stage, Curnow. That's what you failed at. You just haven't done that, I mean, last year, had him and he got a couple of good games with West Coast kicking 10 goals. He just doesn't do it well enough against the top sides. Curnow, and that's the problem. I mean, he hasn't got over 150 plus this season. For a player of his ability at his peak. Considering Carlton's playing well this season, it's just frustrating. It really is. I could have got Caldwell or more, and I would have been a couple 100 points ahead now for where I traded him. I would have been probably in the top 10k, a few of these little things that went my way. I really regret bringing Curnow in now. Should have gotten Caldwell or more. I had a bad feel about Curnow, but then he was, hasn't really played his full best yet. Hasn't had those couple, 150 plus games. So I don't know. With Curnow, it's a bit of an overrated selection, to be honest. I mean, I was never 100% sold with him, even though I did bring him in last year. I got a bit lucky towards the end there where he kicked 10 goals against West Coast, which isn't going to happen, nearly every other week against a solid AFL backline defender. It's just not going to happen. And then Joe Richards, 34. To top it off, this is where it all really began, to be honest. Zach Fisher gets injured. He's not playing the week. Okay, cool. All right, we'll just hope Richards gets a 70 or 80. No, he performs crap. He doesn't even get a 60, and then top it off, Kruger, gets almost 30 more points than him. So I lost 30 points there. I mean, really, it's just crap like this. You have 2 injuries, you had players you wish you traded in, but you didn't, and you trade a player who you expected to do well, but then performs poorly than players you had an eye on. You were thinking, Caldwell more. You end up doing quite well. It's just frustrating. Who you were going to pick at the start of this season to perform better? Caldwell, Moore, or Curnow. You would have probably picked Curnow, but I would say that Moore and Caldwell have done better this year in terms of Supercoach scoring. It's just frustrating. And Zach Fisher, I'm not too sure how long this injury is. I'm hoping for it's only a week. That's another red flag. And they've got Sydney to top it off. Although Sydney haven't performed that great the last couple of weeks. But although if the ball's in defence, it might actually suit Zach Fisher more. So I'm not too sure with Fisher. If he is playing, that's great. I'll just have him on field. But if he isn't, then I've got a huge problem with Miller and Zach Fisher. And that's 2 primos I'm going to have to get rid of. Might be able to get rid of Fisher for either Moore or Cardwell, hoping. If I can't afford it, then I don't know. I won't be able to get Rankin either. I'll do one. I'm not too. I need to have a look at the price points for that. But for the midfield, it's definitely going to have to get rid of Miller, and I'm not too sure who for. To be honest, it would have to be a half-ass premium, and just hopefully, the player that I pick performs well in the last month of the year. Other than that, I guess Man as the saviour. It'd be too late though. So what I'll do, I'm not too sure. That's pretty much done most of all the trades. I really wanted to, well, most of the trades anyway. Full primo side now, really. I mean, Miller's not a primo anymore. So he's gone. Yeah, it's just bad luck. I really thought I'd be in the top 10k now, but it's looking to be a miracle. I was hoping to be in the top 5k, heading towards after the buys at this point in the season, or at least heading towards that. But just injuries and just rookies that, weren't playing at the critical times. Just underperforming primos that had a good start to the season, like Miller and Green, who, had a decent start, but they just dropped off halfway through, which is just irritating because you can't trade them. And then Miller, I mean, look, it is what it is. It's not really my fault he got injured halfway through. It's more that I didn't trade him in previous weeks. So I hope he had a better week than me. I'm not too sure if I'm going to make a video next week. If I do well next week, I probably will. But if not, it's just, that's it really. I'm probably finished for the year, to be honest. I'm not going to be getting the top 10,000. And if I do, it'll be a miracle. So it's a bit of a failed season in the end. It was already over in probably the first month or so. It did come back well for about a month. I got a score of just in the top 10,000 for one of the rounds, but then really after that, I just haven't really quite come back enough, and things just haven't gone my way since. Look, I could be wrong. Dwarfs can get like a 140 and bounce back, but yeah, I just don't know. There's nothing really much more I can really do other than probably trade out Miller. Alright, thank you for watching.